All right. Well, here on the One Leg Up Network, One Leg Up Alex was on the scene once again. And who did I first turn to when I actually got to see the coach, the man, the coach of the year, Rick Pitino, a fellow Italian American, Lou Terminello. I mean, hey, he's making Italian Americans proud here, Louis.
Oh yeah, no, he's done a fantastic job for St. John's. That's certain. Best team they've had since 2000. Really a remarkable job when you think about it. Yeah, I know they've had some NIL money, but they haven't had the most NIL money. And he started from scratch this year with a new team. Really, the guy is a Hall of Fame coach, spectacular. Um, Now, as long as St. John's is in the tournament, he's taken over New York. That's for sure.
So
That's
much so, Bruce Beck, Otis Livingston, they were on campus today for the send off, by the way. So they got a lot of eyes on him heading into Providence right now.
well, they should. They deserve it. The guys play hard. Uh, Patino has drilled the type of ball he wants to play. Yes, he usually has a better offensive team, but it doesn't matter. Uh, they play every possession hard. Their defense is always top notch. It gets them through those offensive periods where they're having trouble scoring the ball. But the other night, for the first 30 minutes in the championship game against Creighton, they were behind, and then they hit 14 shots in a row. Most of them off the break, most of them off their defense. But yeah, a spectacular coaching job by the guy who's going to be the coach of the year. He's got to be the national coach of the year.
I know, especially the turnaround, and not just the 1 year to this year. I mean the turnaround in general, because all right, they made it with Mullen a few times over the years. They did make it to the tournament, but that had a different feel. Anderson, we know the Anderson story. It wasn't all great. So in through years' time, he's truly turned around a program that was a little bit in the, I hate to say the doldrums of the Big East, but they weren't always at the top right as they are
No,
right
no,
now.
they were Alex. They weren't a doldrums. I mean, we can look back at some of the games that they've teams that they lost to, which was just head scratching. And again, they've gone this long period of time without winning an NCAA game, which will, barring the upset of the decade, they'll end on when they play Omaha, on Thursday night. Now,
Well, wait a minute, 1 second. I have a question because legendary head coach Jay Wright put up his Final Four bracket on CBS after Selection Sunday, and except for Houston, instead of Duke, I have Duke going to play Auburn in the final. He has Houston. I got all four teams like he did. Does that mean I'm onto something? If the legendary Jay Wright and I are on check in the same line with the
well,
Final Four here,
it's good to be on the same track as the legendary Hall of Famer Jay Wright. Yeah, he picked St. John's to go to the Final Four.
he did.
St. John's is in a very tough bracket, very tough, and this is a tough NCAA tournament to pick. Um, but they're in a tough bracket. I mean, as we look at you look at the bracket. If they win, they got to play Kansas or Arkansas. Okay, these aren't vintage Kansas or Arkansas teams, but they're coached Kansas by Bill Self, a Hall of Famer, Arkansas by John Calipari, who did a fine job in his first year at Arkansas. And they could end up, playing. They could be playing Maryland, where Kevin Willard, the old Seton Hall coach, has done a
Of
tremendous
course.
job. And I heard that he was approached for the Villanova job, but Maryland quickly put an end to that by giving him an extension, I believe. I don't know if it's been officially announced, but the best team in that bracket, the deepest team is Florida. They can score a lot of
I
points.
was going to ask you about that because I was a little concerned when they go through Selection Sunday. All right, St. John's is in first in the East. They're not first in the south, in those other regions,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't even south in they weren't even first in their own bracket. Why not a first ranked seed for St. John?
Well, I mean, the second seed, which I didn't think they were going to get before the Big East tournament. That's fine. The four number one seeds that were dubbed the number one seeds, all that this committee hit the nail on the head on that one. I'm just surprised that St. John's isn't in the Newark bracket. I thought for
That
sure.
would have made a ton of more sense.
Right.
But you know what I also know about this tournament is they don't always put that team local in the region. It's very
They
rare. I mean,
don't.
when UConn was in the East Regional down here in 2014 when they made the run,
Yeah, they
you
play
know,
at the Garden.
they played the Garden. I was there
And
when
that gave him a big advantage because you know how you were there. You know
yep.
how many UConn fans
Oh, the whole
invade
building
Madison
was
Square
packed out.
Garden.
And I was a bit surprised because the Spartans were stumbling all over themselves. I think they were a little pressured by that home court advantage UConn certainly had.
Absolutely.
But the point is, maybe parity, maybe something else that leads these selections to be moving a team outside the region. That's what I got to believe.
Well, and they want to make parity, like you said. They want the four brackets to be as balanced as possible. In the old days, before you were born, Alex, it didn't work that way. They went geographically 100%, and many times one region was so much stronger than the other. So that's why
Speaking
they
of
do it
strength,
the
I
way they do
believe
it
the
now.
SEC has the most teams. Is that correct?
14. The Big East one year had 11 back. This was back when the football schools were still in the Big East. Um, they have 14 teams. I don't look. Texas was 6-12 in the conference. Yeah, they were a good team. Oklahoma was 6-12 in the conference. But you want to know something? If you're playing a good conference like that, 6-12 is still 6-12. I don't know if 14 teams should be in a tournament, but I don't think we're going to see those upsets, those mid-major
Right.
upsets, or I should say, I'm wondering if are we going to see those mid-major upsets anymore, like we saw in the
Well, because look what
past.
happened over the weekend, right? I mean, we didn't expect Michigan to go out and win the conference, win the
No,
Big Ten.
no, I didn't.
But more importantly, we didn't expect Tennessee. And look, I didn't. I followed the rankings, maybe not so much the games, but admittedly, I follow the rankings. I know Auburn was way too high to be knocked out by a Tennessee team. Could that be a foreshadow to the tournament? I don't know. Could UConn having a struggling year and a struggling Big East tournament have implications in the tournament? We don't know. Dan Hurley could turn a totally different gear in the tournament. That's what I believe here. But
Oh, again, as we've discussed in the past, I don't want to. I wouldn't want to play Danny Hurley in UConn. So just look at that. Look at that West region. If UConn beats Oklahoma, which I think they will, then they'll be playing Florida because Florida, unless there's the upset of upsets.
by the way, not to critique the March Madness, why does it take three sponsors to make an app? I don't understand that, but I'm on the March Madness app sponsored by three different advertisers. What is this, Louis?
You know, it is. It's money. They're all paying for it, and that's the reason. It's all about money. That's what it is. Um,
And tonight's going to be fun because we're going to see if UNC truly deserve to be in this as they face San Diego State in a little bit because we all know that controversy. But before we get to that, let's go to the West region where St. John's is second ranked.
yep, they are, and I mean that's a tough region. I mean, the dark horse Drake, a very good team, a team that has a tremendous guard in Bennett Sturts. They're well coached. They control the tempo. So look out for Drake in the tournament.
Now, one thing about Kansas, we've talked about this in prior March Madnesses. I don't know. They always seem to find themselves high ranked or whatever, and then they shoot themselves in the foot somehow and end up out of the tournament. It seems like a perennial thing with this team, most tournaments.
Well, this team has trouble scoring. They go through droughts of scoring. Self's a great coach. Hunter Dickinson is still there. He's a great player. He'll be in the NBA. Arkansas has battled injuries all year. Coach Cal has done a terrific job of getting him this far. I had no idea that they were even close to getting in 2 weeks ago, but they're in. And obviously, he lives for the tournament, and he's been successful, as has Self has been successful. But that West region, man, it's tough. But if Arkansas wins and St. John's wins, you'll see in Providence, you'll see John Calipari and Rick Pitino going against each other like they've done many times in the past. What Kentucky and Louisville in the
Yeah,
national.
and I see Louisville has made it once again. By the way, real quick on Creighton, who obviously faced off against St. John's in the Big East final here. Um, Kalkbrenner, this is his final year, I believe. I mean, this is going to be a year he's
Correct.
probably motivated to carry this team. But why did they have a better outcome than UConn? What they do differently than to beat out UConn that series?
You mean well, UConn beat them on Saturday night. But I think Saturday night, Creighton was tired from the double overtime game they played against Purdue. Crane, I think should have won more games. They should have been higher up. I think they underachieved a little bit. Ashworth's a fantastic point guard. He controls the game. He did not have a good game against UConn against St. John's in the finals on a Saturday night. But you know, Kalkbrenner's a great player. I don't know what his NBA status is. I'm sure he's going to be drafted in the first round. He's a great four-time defensive player of the year in the Big East. The only other player to do that was the greatest player ever to play in the Big East in Patrick Ewing. So we'll see what happens. But they're playing Louisville, and Louisville is one of the great turnaround stories in college basketball. This blue blood program, which went through 3 or 4 years of 4-28. They won 6 games, 7 games, and the turnaround has been remarkable. That's an interesting game, the Creighton Louisville game.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned about draft picks. By the way, Louisville, of course, Pitino's old digs, and certainly when he left that program, it changed everything for Louisville and whatnot. And we all know what happened with that, but we will get to that part of it. But when he left, it was not an easy run for Louisville after that. One thing about Pitino I was thinking is, correct me if I'm wrong, when he was at Iona, he had a house on a golf course. Is that correct? Am I right?
He might have. That I don't know. But again, he was successful at Iona. Obviously, he turned them around quickly. He took them to the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. He's taken 6 teams now this will be his 6th team that he's taken to the NCAA tournament. And obviously, with St. John's, he has more weapons to work with than he did at Iona.
Well, when RJ Louie and Zuby were coming out of the Carnegie Arena, all I hear was MVP tonight. So, well, you know what I love about that? He said that I didn't recruit them because of money. I recruited them because of character, and he emphasized that multiple times.
Well, yeah. Again, I'm sure that's part of it, but money, I'm sure helped a little bit. I mean, I'm sure UMass, where Luis Jr. was, couldn't match St. John's in money, and I heard that Luis Jr. didn't get a lot of NIL money like Kadari Richmond got. So, and again,
Kadari's being lost in the shuffle here because he is a veteran presence on this team. He helps guide this team, no doubt. Why isn't he getting enough?
I am shocked, Alex. He wasn't named last year with Seton Hall. He was all Big East first team. I thought he should have been all Big East first team again this year. He was second team. He's motivated. Obviously, he's a veteran guy. He's played for 3 teams, so he's gone through. He's gone through the gamut of how tough the college basketball grind is. I think he's one of the key guys in this tournament for St. John's to be successful. Yeah, Luis Jr. is a scorer. He can slash the basket. He can hit occasional 3. But Kadari can control the game. Mm-hmm. And I think he's really the key to St. John's as they get deeper in the tournament.
All right, Lou, you seem to know everything about these teams. So what you can tell us about Omaha that we may not know about right now?
The only thing I can tell you about Omaha, they won the Summit League tournament this year. They've only been in Division I for 16 years. And Alex, and I know that Omaha's in Nebraska. That's really all I know about them.
And I know. I'm like, you wonder if there's an Omaha Creighton rivalry that we don't know about because they're in the same city pretty much.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know if they play each other. I mean, if they've ever played each other. Usually Creighton plays Nebraska every year. Obviously, that's a big time rivalry. But I think St. John's is almost a 17-point favorite. They probably will cover. And the only thing that could beat St. John's against Omaha is if Omaha goes crazy from the 3-point range, and I don't even know what kind of long range shooting team they are, or, and this is not going to happen, if St. John's comes in totally overconfident, and that will not happen with Pitino in this first ever NCAA game as coaches of St. John's.
Well, one other pick I'm looking at now because I love doing these brackets. Firstly, because they're free. Secondly, because it's just exciting to compete with others and see how accurate you are. I have Yale winning again because I'm like, well, they didn't let me down last year. Maybe they could be another team that pulls out a few wins here.
Well, Alex, that would not be a shocker. They're good. They're obviously they've made the tournament 3 years in a row, so they're experienced. They're pretty physical for an Ivy League team, and they have a chance. They do. They definitely don't have a chance. That'll be an interesting watch.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Any of these low ranks, sometimes these low ranking teams come out of it. Now, obviously, we're not going to see Lipscomb make a great Final Four run, but basketball's funny like that. No. I think we discredit a lot of these teams in name only. We don't actually know their talent. Am I right?
You are correct. I mean, you're 100% correct. I haven't seen UC San Diego play, but everybody says they're for real. Some people say that they are, they're going to give, and they're playing Michigan a tough game. I don't know. I mean,
now one way I picked is that whoever won these conferences unexpectedly or handily is going to have momentum compared to someone that's going to be automatically assumed. Like, let's say VCU versus BYU. I think VCU is coming off a great tournament, and they could have momentum going in against BYU. But I picked Robert Morris because they are a special story that I've been reading that they, big moment for them to get to. Maybe they run with it a little bit. We'll see.
They have a pretty good team, and they have some size. Robert Morris does. But getting back to momentum, I've seen it go both ways. In when Villanova pulled off the big upset against Georgetown in 1985, they lost in the second round in the semifinals of the Big East tournament. They got run over by Pittsburgh, and they didn't look like they were going to go anywhere in the Big East tournament. They had a tough game in the first round. I believe they played Dayton. I could be wrong. I think they played Dayton. And they won the national championship. They won 6 games. I actually think they in the first 2 rounds they might have played FDU also. I'm not sure. And they looked okay, but they won the national championship. They beat Memphis State in the national semifinal, and then they played the greatest game. And the last game went out the shot clock. If there was a shot clock, Villanova would not have won that championship. So you don't know. And then you've seen teams, like you said, come in like a house on fire, red hot, and get knocked out the first weekend.
There's that too. Yeah. A lot can happen. All right, I got to turn our attention to the Carolinas, North Carolina, because you have Duke, and you talk about NBA draft possibilities. Obviously, Cooper Flagg is not just a Duke story, not just a March Madness story. He's a sports story because this is the number 1 pick, most likely, we're talking about coming in hobbled, Lou. And can they overcome this? And our NBA, scouts really going to watch this more than we realize right now.
Well, Cooper Flagg's ankle and Malik Brown's shoulder are the 2 keys for Duke. I mean, if they say his ankle's okay, they say he's ready to play even in the first game against the 16th seed, which I wouldn't play him, but I guess they won. Let's face it, this team's so good. They won the ACC championship with him playing less than a half. And but that might be the keys to victory. Flagg's ankle, Brown's shoulder. Cooper Flagg has gotten better every game since November.
And he most likely will be, if he's healthy, will be a one and done, right?
Oh, he's one. I mean, he's one and done. He's going to be the first pick in the NBA. Whoever wins the lottery, they're picking him. He can defend the rim. He can handle the ball. He can shoot the three. He loves to play. He's a smart guy. He has a high basketball IQ. He's the real deal. I mean, he's a young 18. He just turned 18 about 3 months ago.
Kudos to all the college kids that enter at age 17 and grow from there. I was one of those kids at age 17, and then I grew from there. So I could empathize with that. But no, Duke, all eyes on them because of Cooper, because we're going to see. I mean, the injury is just riveting to see how he comes back from that.
Correct.
All right, I want to stick in that Carolinas because you have the main guy in the selection committee telling CBS he's not in the same room when his team makes the tournament, and everybody is scratching their head. Does UNC deserve to be there, Lou, or what's going on here?
Well, I was shocked when I saw them on the upper left-hand corner, and CBS put them up right away. That was like one of the first. That was the first matchup that they talked about. I didn't think they were going to be in. They were 1-12 in quad one and games, which is terrible. And they couldn't beat Duke without Cooper Flegg and Malik Brown. They were down 24. Right. They came back and they had a chance to win at the end, but they didn't win at the end. Duke beat them 3 times this year. They didn't deserve to be in. And again, no conspiracy theories. Hey, I know I read that the AD, Bubba Cunningham, who, yes, he wasn't in the room when they talked about when the committee talked about North Carolina, but Alex, he got like $100,000 bonus for North Carolina making the tournament.
Now, I'm hearing this breaking news. I don't know. I feel like a bit not conspiratorial. Is it true he got a bonus after the Tar Heels made the tournament? Is this true?
Yes, that's what I just said. Yes, that's true. And the farther they go, he gets different level of bonuses. I think 50,000 if they get to the second weekend, 100,000 if they get to the Final Four. So yeah, I mean, you could look that up because that's probably public record.
It's unbelievable. But as I've been saying since this pick happened, Bubba Cunningham is the locksmith.
Yeah, no, he's a longtime AD at North Carolina, and obviously he has a lot of power.
This is the audio I was trying to get for you. He's the locksmith of the tournament. He's the AD and he's selection guy. I mean, come on, he's the locksmith of the tournament.
Yeah. So again, I was stunned, and I guess 111 bracketologists, to use metrics and analytics, all 111, only like less than 20 had North Carolina in.
So I guess we're using Bubba Palm, not Ken Palm. At this point.
That's right. We're using Bubba Palm. So,
well, I mean, we could go all night about this. It's going to be a fun 60. Well, obviously 68 and then 64.
I think there's 63 games altogether in the tournament. I think it's 63.
It's going to be fun, Lou. I'm sure you get excited around this time of year.
But hey, 12 o'clock on Thursday, I'm going to be parked in front of my television set from 12 noon to 12 midnight.
There you go. And when it hits Newark, who knows? Maybe we'll get out there or something like that. I don't know. We got to see. I'm looking at my other bracket and seeing if there were any surprises on that. Actually, you might find me crazy, and maybe because our colleague Mark DeBoer has some Liberty ties. They were so excited to get in the tournament. I did pick them as an upset against Oregon. Call me crazy, but you never know.
No, you never know. And that's kind of game where you might be right. But Oregon's is a good team. I mean, I wouldn't bet the ranch on it, but you could see an upset there. I want
to about two other perennial teams before you go on there. Gonzaga and Arizona, always perennial tournament teams, always expectations and they don't often run with it. Why is that? Especially Gonzaga, because they always come in like highly ranked, and then it ends up in a bust for them.
Well, they've done again. You got to win 6 games, and twice they've won 5, and they've lost in the championship game. This is not one of their great teams, but they're still they made the tournament for the 26th straight year. So
Amazing.
I mean, they have a chance to swing the bat. This game against Georgia is an interesting game. I think I like Gonzaga. Watch out for Clemson. Watch out for Clemson. They're a 5 seed, and I think they have a chance to beat McNeese. I think they can give Purdue a tough time. Watch out for Clemson. Houston always plays tough defense. Kelvin Sampson, that's his trademark. They've won their conference 5 years in a row. The last 2 years, their first 2 in the Big 12, the 3 before that in the American. So they have a chance. They have a chance to get to the Final Four. It should be again. It's going to be another spine tournament.
We'll see how many people are ripping up their brackets by the end of day one. By the way, I'm sure this is why you don't make one, Lou, because you don't want to be ripping up your bracket at the end of the day, right?
Well, I usually haven't made any brackets out the last 7 or 8 years. I used to, and like I said, that's why you're right. That's the reason I don't make it. I just want to enjoy the tournament and see what happens.
Now, how about this? The Tom Izzo farewell tour is in the tournament because he announced he's going to retire at the end of the year, and that's pretty big news because Tom Izzo, another staple of college basketball, another legend. I actually have him going to the Elite Eight. You think I'll be right on that one or what?
You very well could be right. Obviously, in the past, Izzo has shown incredible coaching ability in a tournament, raising his team up to levels that people didn't think they could. So no, they have a chance. They absolutely have a chance to go deep in the tournament, and he's a great coach.
All right, I want to get to this other. We could talk about basketball's heating up again, NBA and all that. But I got to ask you this before we end tonight. Are we going to have to watch every 5th inning for the Dodgers now and see if that's going to be the magical inning for them? I mean, even in game 1 of the season today in Tokyo, it takes the 5th inning for that. I mean, come on, are they running this with this now or what?
They scored 3 of their 4 runs in the 5th inning, which won the game for them in Tokyo. They're so good, Alex. And
they don't need Mookie Betts to travel over there.
They don't. And they're so good. They're going to score more than just in the 5th inning. That's for sure.
Well, and Shohei pitching today against Imanaga. It was a historic matchup to begin with.
It was, yeah.
But then you see Shohei pitching. I remember when he was pretty much sidelined a few years ago from pitching. I'm like, he won't pitch again. This is almost impossible. But Roberts and him are motivated again and pitching again.
Yeah, no, apparently Shoney is going to pitch. Otani's going to pitch, I guess, in May. They're going to put him in the rotation. To me, their pitching staff is so good. And I don't mean their starters are good, but Alex, their bullpen is lethal. And I mean, they are the overwhelming favorite. The overwhelming favorite.
They go 162-0, actually. That's what MLB posted today. But, I just hope that it's not a trouncing every game. Like, you don't want a league where one team's going to dominate every game. There's got to be some competition here. And I guess that's why the Dodgers reboot in the regular season is going to be interesting because the Mets have some weapons they didn't have last year. Well, I guess one weapon they didn't have last year, but it should be interesting.
It's an interesting baseball season. I don't like this fake opening day where they play 2 games that count in the standings 10 days before.
Right, and then they go back to play spring training.
Right.
I don't get it. It's the most bizarre thing.
It is a little bizarre. Couple of other things I'm just going to throw out there. The 3 hockey teams. Were in the last month, and I don't know. I mean, the Rangers are hanging in there. They're hanging on by a thread. I don't know if they're going to make it or not. Their power play has to get better. Adam Fox, I know he's just coming off an injury, but even before the injury, he hasn't been the dominant player he was, and he's still young. He's got to play better for them to win and get into the 8th spot. And if you get into the 8th spot, then anything can happen. Who knows? I'm just not sure if they're going to make it or not. The Islanders. The one thing I'll tell you about the Islanders, who are still on the bubble, but I don't think they're going to make it. They just go through too many long periods without scoring. The one thing I can say, Alex, I'm just surprised that Patrick Waugh, one of the great competitors in the history of the National Hockey League, that he hasn't been able to will and instill that competitive drive that he had on his team. There's been too many periods where the Islanders have come up soft, and I don't mean I mean where they just seem disinterested. Even that game and I think you might have been at that game, at the game at the Coliseum, the 5-1 game.
Yeah, we were there, and we saw them score about 3 or 4 goals in the first couple periods.
Yeah, they just seemed to, and they're playing their biggest rival. And then the game at the Garden was worse. The game at the Garden, they just were totally out of it.
And then somehow they beat the defending champions on Sunday. I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah, no, and they played a good game against Edmonton. Again, they just don't have enough scorers. They have too many bottom 6 forwards playing on the top 6.
When you get rid of a guy like Brock Nelson, it deflates the team, though. Let's just be honest about that.
Yeah, well, and with no Barzell, basically no Barzell the whole year, that kills them. So
I'm looking live inside Lou's studio. Are you watching the first game of the play-in right now? Is that
I am, and it looks like it's a nail biter. It's a spine tingler. 68-68 with 40 seconds to go.
And for clarification, because I texted my friend Charlie, who is St. Francis, Brooklyn alum. Wrong, St. Francis. That's not the team that's in. Which team is in? From Pennsylvania, I think I've seen.
Yes, from Pennsylvania. A couple of famous NBA players played for St. Francis. Norm Van Leer, the great point guard for the Bulls. Maurice Stokes, who played in the NBA before he suffered a career-ending injury in the mid-50s, played for St. Francis, Pennsylvania.
By the way, this thing with UNC being in the first 4, it almost could backfire, right? Because if they lose the first game, then people are really going to start to say, well, why wasn't this given to a better competitive team? That's the next question we're going to have if they lose tonight.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. They've left themselves wide open for that. So that's the hockey deal. The Devils are doing a good job considering they have no Jack Hughes, no Dougie Hamilton for the rest of the year, no Jason Siegenthaler, who's a first-rate defensive defenseman. Jacob Markstrom hasn't played as well as he did before his injury. They need him in top form, but they'll get in. I don't know how far they can go. Same thing with if the Rangers get in. I don't know if the Rangers can win 4 out of 7.
Well, that's the thing. A dark garden in the spring just makes no sense to me when it comes to hockey.
Well,
there's always playoff hockey here. It's going to be very weird if that's not the case. So.
Well,
but I think we have to be bracing for that reality, right?
Yeah, and we obviously in October we never thought we would be talking like this here.
Miller, I don't know if you saw the game a little bit. Miller got injured tonight, so that's not good. He's one of your keystones right now, and if he's injured, looks like he got slashed in the first period.
Okay,
and was limping off pretty much.
Yeah, I know it was 2-1. They were trailing Calgary in the first period, but that was it. One last thing, real quick. I don't know what the New York Giants are doing. They're bringing in Jameis Winston. That's fine. They want to, but again, they got to make a decision. They can't wait for Russell Wilson. They can't wait for Aaron Rodgers. First of all, they got to bite the bullet. They got to sign somebody. And if Brian Dable and Joe Shane are worried about their jobs and they want to sign the best quarterback, because they need to win some games. It's not going to work out. And if John Mara says, says, hey, you got to win games. All right, then they need Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. How many more games are going to win? Alex, I don't know. They won 3 last year. What, are they going to win 5? Did you see their home schedule? Their
I
home
do.
their home schedule is a bear. They may not win a home game.
Like
And
almost like this year, if they didn't,
right.
almost like this year actually.
Mm-hmm. So John Mara has to make a decision. If you want to draft the best player, because we don't even know when they draft number 3 if the quarterback that they pick, whether it's Ward or Sanders or somebody else, is the right quarterback in what is supposed to be a down quarterback year.
Now, were
Then,
you the one that told me they could actually, if Denver wanted to trade up for number 1? Is that
well, Tennessee said that they would be
or
open to
Tennessee?
trading the number 1 pick to anybody. Now, I don't know if they're just trying to feel out other NFL teams, but
Oh, I
John
know
Mara,
Giant fans would love it. Malik Neighbors traded for a 1 draft pick. The Mariners would be run out of town if that happened.
yeah, no, they're not doing that. But and again, maybe John Mara should just give Joe Shane and Brian Dable an extension, so the pressure's off. So they draft the best guy at 3, whether it's Abdul Carter from Penn State or one of the interior linemen, the kid from Michigan, Graham, or the cornerback from Michigan, Will Johnson, or somebody else.
By the way, Cincinnati's doing right by Burrow and by Higgins to bring both those guys back, and I think Chase as well. It's smart. You want to keep that core together as long as you can. So kudos to Bengals upper management.
Yeah, but now the Bengals have to strengthen their defense. The Bengals can't be scoring 35 points a game and losing 37-35.
Right.
And
by the way, if it wasn't for Burrow, they wouldn't even been in playoff contention this year, by the way. So
there's no doubt about it. He was one of the most valuable players in the league.
Kudos to him. All right. You mentioned Mara, and we did not touch about this at all. I don't even know if New York sports fans really know this unless they follow day to day. Mara sold off 10% of the Giants. Is that right? Is there a minority stake? What does that mean to you?
Well, I don't know if a sale has gone through. I know they've offered 10% of the team. What it means to me that the Giants are worth a lot of money, and he wants to cash in.
But he won't ever relinquish what his father.
He will not. He will not. They'll never do that. They'll never do that. They'll always be in control of the team.
That's right. So whoever flies the plane 5 weeks in a row around the stadium, the Maras are not selling the team.
Yes.
But no, it was interesting to see that, and I often wonder, and partly because my relationship with the Simon family, I often wonder if they're going to sell off a bit of that team at some point too. You never know; it could happen.
Of course, Alex, everything comes to an end.
There are minority holders there already, but not to that extent of 10% that I know of. So you never know. But the Giants doing that, I think, was music to fans' ears. Like, oh, are they going to sell? I don't think they're going to sell the team. There's not going to be an outright sale of the New York Giants here. Stupid.
That is not happening.
Now, on your side of the field, Justin Fields coming in. I mean, look, whether it was the Bears' management of him or whatever, is he not reach his potential? Does he think the Jets are going to be his potential right now, or what?
Well, it goes to show you that there's such a lack of quarterback talent in the league. He's 26 years old. This is going to be his 3rd team in 3 years. 2 years ago, the Bears, the Steelers last year, and now the Jets. Only 2-year contract, so the commitment is not a killer. Again, am I thrilled? Am I excited? Am I excited like they were 2 years ago before Aaron Rodgers snapped his Achilles? No, I was excited then. I'm not excited now. First of all, the roster's not as good as it was 2 years ago. But new coaching staff, new general manager, maybe they'll tap his potential. I don't know, Alex.
All right, one last thing. Speaking of, because when you think about whether fans are going to show up to the games, I guess they will. But I'm just thinking about the Big East one more time. Johnny's played a 12 o'clock game again, to open their Big East tournament, and it was barely full. should these leagues do it based on, hey, if a local team who's like number one in the conference, we should do that at night so fans could go, or what's the is there an issue with that?
The regular season champion, as you know, when we carry the games,
Yep.
always play at 12 o'clock. They do it based on league standings, not based on the fact that St. John's plays in Madison Square Garden, which that home field advantage helped them in that run Saturday night.
Oh, absolutely.
If that game was in Omaha, St. John's might have lost.
Oh, 100%. Well, it was fun. It was quite a few days for the Garden. You had the Johnnies winning, you had the Rangers crapping the bed the next night, and then you had Tracy Morgan throwing up at the Knick game. What a 3-day stretch for the Garden, man! I'll tell you.
Poor Tracy Morgan, food poisoning, throwing up on the floor next to Stevie Sharippa.
And our buddy Kenny Albert had to watch that because it's right next to him. Oh my god!
Oh god!
Something else.
I mean,
Only at the Garden. It's really Dolan's world. What's about Jerry's world? This is Dolan's world. I swear to God, it really is.
And Tracy Morgan. I mean, he's gone through a lot. He's gone through hell. That poor guy.
But it did overshadow the fact that Towns, I saw in the highlights, made another big three. So that acquisition continues to work for the Knicks. And I don't want to hear about this Hart Thibodeau situation. Just let the guys play, okay? And maybe don't make stupid comments about playing time and just play the game. I don't know. What do you think, Luke?
Again, coaches and players argue all the time. It happens all the time. I don't think it's a big deal. What made it a bigger deal is it came a couple of days after Bridges saying, "Hey, you got to give us some rest." Yeah. And that happening back to back is what exasperated the situation.
Again, and for Knicks fans who think they'd be better off with the Thibodeau, I have to say that's not the case. He's a very good coach.
He's a very good coach, no doubt about it. He's a very good coach, and we'll see. It's all about the players for the Knicks. You know, that's what it's all about, the players.
All right, one last thing, and this is a Garden story because I was there the day Gretzky hung it up 26 years ago now this year. 26 years later, the Great Eight is literally 8 or 7 goals away. Can he do it in 24, 25? Is this a possibility or what?
I never would doubt him. I mean, when he broke his leg early in the season and missed 16 games, I thought he was going to miss more than 16 games. It's going to be close to get it this year. Obviously, he's going to get it. He's going to go well over 900 goals. The fact that he's done it in a more defensive era with better goaltending than Gretzky did it, who did it in the offensive era of NHL hockey, is an accomplishment. Alex, I thought that was an unbreakable record. I really did. Now, Gretzky has over 2,000 points lifetime. That record is unbreakable. Nobody's going to come close to that. But Ovechkin's the best goal scorer I've ever seen in the 6 decades I've been watching hockey.
I'm looking to see if he scored tonight because they are playing tonight against Detroit. I don't know, but we'll have to see, Lou. It's going to be fun. And another colleague of mine, Ryan, who you know and you've talked to, says, "Well, what if April 5th against the Islanders he has a chance? I mean, imagine at UBS he has a chance to do this. It would be monumental."
That would be great. And yeah, he has a chance to do it April 5th. But the guy, he's a goal scorer who hits. Yep. I mean, you look at his career hit total, it's way up there. So he's not just a guy who, is doing the ice capades out there. Looking,
you could say it. Gretzky was a showman on the ice. Like he was more of a respectable, good guy. I don't remember him hitting many people in his time.
Yeah, first of all, he wasn't built that way. Even till his last game, he wasn't the goal scorer those last couple of years that he was, but he was still an amazing passer.
Right. And I don't know. He always, when they do these documentaries about it, he always seems reflective. Like, well, when I passed, I think it was Hull, he was very respectable of it, and he just sounds so reflective. But I also don't think he thought anybody would break it, to be honest with you.
No, I didn't. I thought it was an unbreakable record. I really did.
And I think Gretzky might have too. I don't know. But, it's going to be interesting to see that play out. That is a storyline. And we'll see if he has one leg up on the record as we hit the Easter almost here.
Right. He'll either do it before Easter or he'll do it before Halloween in the first month of next season.
Yes, God willing, right? Anyway,
Yep.
Lou Terminello, thank you as always, and enjoy the tournament. We'll be back with you with more as the tournament progresses. And I got a pitch today saying, would you like to host from the Devils actually? Would you like to host an event at Newark at Prudential Center? And it says perform on the concourse with music or dance group. Well, we don't have a dance group or a music group. We do have a podcast. Should I look into that for the tournament or what,
yeah.
Louis?
That's it. And, a couple of people know me in that Newark area. So,
If you want to fund a show, why not, right?
Yeah,
Come on.
that's it.
Anyway, Lou Terminello's Take. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Alex, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And have a great night.
That was Terminello's Take on the One Leg Up Network.